Today, we have Isabel Rivera joining us. She's the founder and CEO of Pentakt. How are you, Isabel?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm excited to have you on. We kind of kicking off this series where I wanted to interview our ambassadors of the month and get to know them better, introduce them to the CPN community, and get to know you more on a personal level. We all know about LinkedIn is highly professional and we're all curated on there, but I like to know what makes people tick, what really drives them, really contributing a lot to the CPN community. Can't thank you enough for that. And so looking forward to getting to know you better. With that being said, tell us about how'd you get to where you are today? Tell us about your personal journey. What was that path like to being now where you are as an entrepreneur running your own cybersecurity company?
I grew up in the El Paso, Texas area, and I initially thought I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. I grew up with a single parent household, so I knew I wanted something in STEM. I didn't like mechanical engineering. I'm not artistic. I hated AutoCAD with a passion. And my mother was actually an office manager for an IT company in the El Paso area. So I was really familiar with IT, really liked hacking movies. I don't know if you've ever seen Swordfish with Hugh Jackman. Really cheesy movie, but I actually really enjoyed it. So I left being a mechanical engineer, and I switched, the only time I switched majors, to New Mexico State University, and they had an IT degree program there. While applying for jobs, I stumbled upon Raytheon, and it became my dream career. I did not mean to get into cybersecurity, let alone compliance. I was trying to seek IT or networking professions, but at the hiring event I went to, they had no cybersecurity managers, no IT managers, no networking managers. One thing led to another, communications, talking to people. I managed to secure an interview with a cybersecurity manager. Well, actually, the director called this guy's cybersecurity manager to come interview me. So it's kind of the start of my career jumping into compliance, working for Raytheon, now Raytheon Technologies, so DoD Prime. From there, just jumped opportunity to opportunity, worked my way from what we call the collateral side, basically the secret side, up to the top secret level in SAP is what we call it, special access programs. Started traveling, just being involved, working as an information system security officer, trying to take on whatever I could, learn whatever I could in 853, the tougher side of NIST.
The beast.
The beast, yes, on high, moderate and high impacts controls. From there, I went to go work at another contractor under the Department of Health and Human Services, Indian Health Services, through a contractor providing cybersecurity support as well. And then in the local area, talking to people in the tech world, COVID kind of took up cybersecurity, IT world, and talking to individuals, and started noticing a lot of local MSPs, I guess, struggling, or talk of even local business owners complaining about nobody really understands this thing called CMMC. And I hadn't heard of it. I'm familiar with 800-171. And started seeing that there was a lot of misinformation, miscommunication between the businesses and the ecosystem. And I'm kind of a strong-willed warrior. I love volunteer work. I was like, I felt the need to help them. So that's kind of why I started my business from there, and have been helping a lot of small businesses get on the right track, keeping them informed with the changes. And now the rest is kind of history, still trying to grow my business, making sure people in the local Arizona area, people on the West Coast are familiar with what's involved with CMMC. It's not something that's going away.
Right. Despite the many people hoping so. It's real. It's not going anywhere. That's quite the journey. And I've discovered a lot of people end up in cybersecurity kind of by accident, where they're just willing to just try something new or step outside their comfort zone, or they're voluntold that, hey, you're the cybersecurity person now. Yeah, it's a great story. Now, you mentioned that you love volunteer work. Can you elaborate on that more? Has it something that's always been kind of a driver for you to volunteer and help?
Pretty much. My mother was prior service, and she was heavily involved in her alma mater, New Mexico Military Institute. It's in Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay.
And they hold events, tattoo events, try to get people involved either with going to the school, signing up for the service. So really, really young, was always involved with anything they needed to do. Within high school, I thought I was going to be a vet until I found out I had a lot of allergies and can't really touch cats. But I was heavily involved with my local humane society in El Paso for years, put in thousands of hours fundraising, going to offsite events every weekend. I was doing something with the animals to try to get them adopted.
Wow.
In school, College of Engineering, volunteered to help start programs to get local engineering students involved with their local businesses. I like helping. I just think, we're meant to kind of help people along, whether it's, for profit or just helping. It's where we need to help people.
Okay, that makes sense now. I'm prior service. I see that it rubbed off on you from your mother, and you're running with it. And I've been to El Paso several times. First time when I deployed to Iraq back in 2005. So El Paso's a beautiful city. I have some ties there. And where do you live in Arizona?
I live about 30 minutes south. It's in Vail, but everyone knows Tucson. It's one of the two bigger cities. There's Tucson and then there's Phoenix. So we're here in the Tucson area.
Okay. Yeah, I was stationed at Fort Huachuca. Some ties to Arizona as well. Yeah, Scrolls. Oh, cool. I'm curious in regards to what would you say has been like your biggest inspiration, whether it's personally or professionally, inspired you to go down the path you're on?
I'm going to say it probably many times if you bring up inspiration or anything about my journey is really, truly my mother. Anything I've always done, she's always supported. She'll find a way to help me. When I was at ROTC in college, I had to drop out of it, but I washed my uniform and one of the previous cadets had bleach in the dryer and it had stained it. And I needed a uniform for the next day. So she'd try to find at least a blue polo shirt in the middle of the night. And Las Cruces and El Paso about an hour apart. So she drove in the middle of the night to Walmart to bring me a polo shirt because I didn't have a car. So anything I've always done, been interested in, she's always supported. She's always gone on a limb. If I don't know anything about it, she'll reach out. She's always had contacts in even her local community, whether it's from her alma mater or just forming connections. She's always been there. Her previous employer working for the MSP, if I had questions on stuff, she would get me in contact with them and answer all my technical questions, even though she's never been into computers herself. She knew I really loved it. So she's probably been the biggest inspiration for anything, just being strong and being there for her kids.
Wow. Fantastic role model. And Erin, do you have kids?
I do. Not
Okay.
yet.
So yeah, she set the bar high as a parent. Yeah, it's something that certainly every parent strives for, to be there to support their kids and be hopeful and prayerful that their kids speak as highly about them as you speak about your mom when they're adults. That's the real test. Yes, indeed. Now, in regards to being an entrepreneur, that's a major leap. You mentioned you're a strong-willed person. Has it helped you in being an entrepreneur?
Being a strong-willed person, yes. I'd have to say all the previous experiences, whether it's volunteer experiences or getting involved with organizations or events growing up, probably has helped me the most. I'm not saying you need to be extroverted, but you really do have to put yourself out there. You need to be confident. Especially these other small businesses, especially when it comes to CMMC, they've already either been burned by companies that were misinformed or refused to educate themselves. So they're already wary, they're already on guard. Confidence in your knowledge, confidence in prior experience, and also just knowing how to get the message across and talk to these small business owners, I think are really important for entrepreneurship. I would venture anyone that's interested in being an entrepreneur to start attending their local organizations or associations. I myself are in the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Arizona Technology Council. They host a lot of events, sometimes breakfasts, and in the membership's usually free, or maybe it's a small fee. There's, I believe even tonight, there's a tech mixer for the Arizona Tech Council. Just go and talk to business owners and just gaining that confidence and knowing how people talk, how to engage in small talk, how to give a little bit about yourself on personal and the professional level and form the connections. I think that's, to me, what's been the biggest help with being entrepreneur is just speaking in confidence.
I like that a lot. Really good tips. Like you said, big part of being an entrepreneur is putting yourself out there. If you just kind of sit behind your computer screen and hope to get customers, that's not going to be as effective as if you're out there meeting people, especially meeting the respective clients that you hope to serve. That's invaluable. To your point, building those connections. They say that people like to do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So anything that you can do to try to build that know, like, trust factor as entrepreneurs is going to pay dividends. Absolutely. When I'm speaking to a lot of women in IT, and it's a small minority, especially probably even a smaller minority, cybersecurity Have you encountered any, what you deem it as challenges or obstacles being a woman in cybersecurity? And how have you overcome those challenges?
I've spoken with a lot of other females, especially women of color within the industry, MSP owners, and we do get that question a lot, or we do also even ask the question. The challenges more so, I think, for me are less on ethnicity, race, and gender, and it's more been against my age, funny enough.
Mm,
With being a woman IT or woman in tech, there's few of us. There's too few of us. Even
yeah.
going to university, out of the 4-year degree program, there was only 3 females, and
Wow.
all of us were in the same grade levels. We were all juniors, we were all seniors at the same time. There was none coming in. Now, to be on the flip side of it, the computer science degree was oversaturated with many, many females. So there are a lot of females in tech, but not so much in IT and not so much in compliance or cybersecurity. Same with working at Raytheon. There was very few coworkers or colleagues of mine that were female and that were minorities. I don't feel like anyone or any organization I worked for have yet where I feel like I've been either held back or I have to overcome a challenge. But I will say that the age is the big one. Even meeting other people of other backgrounds, when we're younger, we're deemed less experienced, even though we have a drive or a will to learn.
Mhm.
The cybersecurity IT industries are really heavily gatekept. I know a lot of people that are in IT trying to break into cybersecurity. So having less years under us than our counterparts that may have started in cybersecurity or IT, 10, 15 years ago, it's harder when we're coming in with either barely 5 or out of college. I got a lucky break at Raytheon. They took me right out of college with very
Wow.
little of
Nice.
experience. So that to me has been the biggest hurdle. And the one thing that's helped me is having evidence or knowing my stuff. So
Right.
at Raytheon, I would carry a little JSIG. If you're familiar with what the JSIG is, basically like, NIST 853, carrying around the security controls of what you need to do. And
Uh,
I would talk to the engineers who were a lot older than me and say, they wouldn't want to listen to me. They're like, oh, Felix, yeah, we don't need to listen to her. And I would back it up with, this isn't me. I'm just a megaphone for what the government states,
right.
and back it up and show them what it says. And then after that, they're like, okay, we got to listen to her.
She knows what she's talking about.
Yes, I've learned how to work around those little nuances, and maybe what I think is an age factor, maybe a gender or race factor, but I've never necessarily noticed it. I know there are other people that may be in the same boat as me that have a different story or different way they've overcome obstacles related to gender or race, but I haven't. Mine has been age. Age has been a really
Age.
big one.
Ageism is a real thing.
It is.
Yes, I've certainly experienced that throughout my career, and I've typically been the youngest in the room. However, I'm over 40 now, so I'm no longer, I'm still kind of getting up there. But yeah, I certainly see how ageism is a great perspective you provided. Ultimately, to your point, it comes down to, yeah, you have to know your stuff and you have to be willing to put yourself out there and pretty much dispel a lot of those stereotypes of myths, whether it's about women or minorities or age. If you demonstrate, if you show that you deserve to be where you are, put in the work, then that makes a huge difference. In the context of being an entrepreneur, you certainly mentioned like how ageism can be an issue. However, that you do have such an impressive resume. So you've worked for Raytheon and other large defense contractors right out of college. Have you found that help in terms of your resume?
Yes. So building up experience, I think, has been the biggest thing, having an impressive resume. But I honestly would say the biggest thing, most of the current clients that I've gotten are by attending the smaller events that are targeted to manufacturing or engineering firms that are businesses that are in the defense contracting world, and having a booth set up that counteract misinformation. So I don't mean to overwhelm a lot of these small businesses, but a lot of the flyers that I have gives detailed information, QR codes that they can scan that takes them directly to where the final role is, to the DoD CUI marking guide. And before they even see my resume or ask, before I even get on the first phone call with them, they are just so amazed at the fact that I know the information, that I know what the government's asking for. And that draws them. And they come to my booth, they see all this, they read all the pamphlets, and they're like, whoa, our MSP told us something different. Our current consulting firm has told us this. Is that really true, or is this accurate? And we're like, well, this is what NIST 800-171 states. This is not me. This is what the actual
Right.
standard states.
The
So,
source.
and from there, that's when they ask. Then they ask, "Okay, what's your background? What did you do prior to starting this?" And then that's when the resume or experience shines. Like, "Hey, I've worked with DoD contractors for a prime. I worked in a top secret level." But I think first and foremost is impressing them with, and I don't mean just spouting facts, because there's been a lot of individuals or companies that do spout misinformation that they're very confident in what they're saying and it's untrue. But a lot of these subjects don't know.
Right.
But at least draw them in with that first, and then having the resume, having the experience, I think is what kind of helps propel into talks of proposal, how we can help them. And that's what kind of closes the deal.
Yeah. Fantastic tips. And takes me back when I was in the military, we would always say, if someone tells you something, okay, show me the regulation. Show me where it says that in the regulation. I'm not just going to take your word for it. So that makes a lot of sense.
I do that even with clients with active contracts. Is they ask me something, I will always attach or take a screenshot or directly quote why I'm giving the recommendation I'm giving, like give them the actual source of, hey, this is to back up as evidence. And it makes them feel more confident. Okay, we know we can trust Pentakt. We know we can trust what they're saying.
Yeah. Building that trust factor. Absolutely. It doesn't surprise me, because that's one thing that really put you on the radar for me. With CPN, you came in right away and you were leading with values. Hey, I can set up a Discord server. I'm just willing to help. I'm leading with value. And that's something that I've learned in my career has been very helpful. And to your point with, like you said, booths and the material you're giving out, you're leading with value. You're not leading the conversation with, hey, this is what I'm trying to sell you. You're saying, hey, okay, these are the requirements. This is where you can look for yourself and confirm. And then we can go from there if you want to hire us to help you. But yeah, leading with that value, I think that's a big factor in being successful, whether you're an entrepreneur or just anything in life. It separates you from all the other. I'm sure you get a lot of those messages too on LinkedIn. Hey, buy my services. Hey, let me help you get these leads. Where they're essentially leading with asking for something, trying to get something versus leading with that value.
Yeah, it is. That's the point of LinkedIn, is it's free information, and there's a lot of stuff for businesses to Google and inform themselves. But I am aware that whenever you come into a subject you're not familiar with, it's just overwhelming and too much. My advice for anyone, there's plenty of room within the CMC ecosystem for everyone. So anyone that's interested in being an entrepreneur, I 100% would say lead with information. I know everyone's trying to nickel and dime every business for every cent of information, but if it's out there and it's publicly available, just freely share it. Just build that reputation, build that confidence with small businesses, and they know that you're really there to help them.
Right. And then when they are ready to purchase, you're going to be top of mind for them, because they're going to, hey, Isabel has given me all this value. It's kind of like the law of reciprocity. The more you give, the more you receive. And yeah, it's just how human nature works. Also, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who are looking to, let's say, start a CMMC consulting business, something along those lines? What advice would you give them, in addition to all the tips you've already shared?
I guess first one, like the whole Nike logo, just do it. Slogan.
Yeah.
It seems overwhelming. I started off with the fun business stuff. What I mean by that is taking a name that means something to you, playing around with the logo for a little bit. It starts to build your confidence of, maybe I can do this. Then I registered my LLC, and that was like the first piece of official documentation. Again, you're building a ladder. Okay, I got an actual documentation from the state. I'm an LLC. This is real. And from there, start to do the not so fun things. Like, okay, how am I going to market? How am I going to talk to businesses? Where do I go? First thing that I kind of jumped into was knowing who your target was. Mine at first was MSPs, because they already have the clients. And I thought that MSPs, since they're in the IT world, would understand. And I found out really quickly that wasn't the case.
Misconception.
That they think because they know computers and they are in IT worlds that they can do compliance and be the same. I've lost my technical skills. I truly have. And if someone came to me and asked for IT help, I would recommend them to an MSP. I wouldn't say, hey, I'm a compliance person. I'll do your IT for you.
Right.
So I switched switch to my marketing was, but just start small, start with the fun things, build a little baby brands, don't go all out, don't spend a lot of money, make sure you buy your domain, buy your email address, but start small and then start incrementing and ramping up. Get involved with the local organizations, and those are probably your biggest connections. I think most of them, their annual membership fees are $300 or $400, which is a little, it's a lot, but it's less than most marketing campaigns, and that's probably the biggest tool you can use.
Yep. Fantastic. Valuable advice there. I love it. In regards to your business names, you mentioned meaning something to you. Tell me what your business name means to you.
Pentakt, when I first, again, 853 worlds, familiar with NIST 800-171, but wasn't really in depth with it. And then looking, the first thing I read when I saw CMMC, if you go onto, I can't remember the website, maybe the .mil one, they list kind of 5 reasons why CMMC is important, why they're doing this. And it occurred to me that everything in life, whether what you do, 5 is really important. Some people say, what are your top 5 favorite holidays? What is your top 5 favorite foods? Like 5 is always really prevalent. And on the gamer side of things, which is why I volunteered to do the Discord, because I heavily use the Discord when gaming, when you eliminate all 5 enemy teams, because I play League of Legends very heavily, it's called a pentakill. And so I really liked that. You always want to achieve that in the game. You want to get rid of all the enemy teams because it gets your team very much ahead. So taking a little bit from compliance, the 5 reasons why CMMC is important, and 5 being very important in people's personal and professional world. I wanted something with Penta. So Pentakt with the C, the definition of it is like 5 rays or 5 like tentacles for like a fish or something. It's just 5 rays. So I'm like, okay, 5 rays of compliance. I'll stick with 5. I like that. So this C with the Pentakt with the C was taken, the domain, by I think a lovely Zimbabwe couple. They look like they did archaeology or something. So I put a K, and the K looked cool. So
It does look cool.
great. So that's how it kind of stuck.
Voila, I like it. So it is important to have meaning behind your business name, because to be an entrepreneur, that's like your baby. Basically trying to get it to grow and care for it. So it's good you have the logo and the meaning behind it. Yeah, that's great. Cool. So Isabel, as we get ready to close out this get to know you session, in regards to CPN, what ways do you feel things that we can do as we build it out, that we can better serve the CMMC ecosystem? Short
term, I'm unsure, but I already have an idea or vision in terms of long term with anything, with any organization. As I've stated in kind of the tabletop actions before, any other CPN members that met me at Seek East, is a lot of the ecosystem is in the East Coast, and kind of the generic part of the United States is kind of split up on East, Central, West. And in a long-term goal, it'd be nice to have segmentation within the organization. We're all one, we're all together, we're all one ecosystem. But for East, we'll probably hold, a lot of events or meetups, which is hard for people in Central or West too. So CPN members in Central could develop meetups or help each other. If someone's within an hour's drive, just can help. And same thing with the West. That's kind of what I saw in the long-term goal of things that seems interesting to me.
That's a good one. We're certainly on the same page with that. I'm a big fan of Toastmasters. I was a member of other organizations that are kind of international, and they have chapters and local groups or meetings. So that is one of my long-term visions for CPN, to have chapters essentially like in every city. Great minds think alike. Well, Isabel, I appreciate your time today. How can people get in contact with you?
LinkedIn's probably the best one. If anyone hasn't joined the CPN Discord, I'm the admin on there. My name is, I think, Rivera_Pentakt. So just either DM me on either ones and we can start a conversation. Anyone can ask me questions. I'm practically always glued to my phone. I actually carry 2 phones and an iPad. So I'm pretty responsive. I am very connected. But we'll start from there. And then if the conversation moves to us exchanging email, or we set up a Teams meeting or whatnot, I'm always open to conversations.
Awesome. Thank you very much. This has been enlightening. I'm glad to get to know you better and share your journey with the CPN community.
Thank you.